could he have a son by himself, or would he need help to have a son if he wanted to?
Okay, can I give you a preference from that?
A
Like there are
preference.
people that have been together for years, for over 50 years, and they can't have children. And there are people that as soon as they get together at a club, one sex, and then poop, the woman gets pregnant and she's like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. So who's the one that's giving them that child? It's the same creator. No one can have a child unless Allah wills it.
Got it. So if
That's
Allah
the
willed it, he
sperm
can.
doesn't.
If Allah willed it, he can have a son, right?
If Allah willed it, he could, but
Could
he
he have
doesn't
a
need it.
son? Could
He
he,
says in
if
the
he
Quran,
willed it? Here's the question: if he willed it, could he have a son by himself, or would he need help to have a son?
he's the greatest, so he doesn't need to give birth. You
Right.
get me?
No, that's not
So
what I
when
said. That's not what I
like
said, brother.
I'll give
No,
you
no,
an
no. See,
example, but
again, you're going off, not answering
you
what
don't
I
want me to
asked.
answer any question.
But you're not
You
answering
want the
what I
same question.
asked. So
Okay,
please
go ahead.
focus on what I asked. We already established that he's the greatest. So if he wanted to, he could have a son. The question, now please listen, would he need help to have this son, or could he have the son by himself?
How can anybody have children without sperm? Are you saying God's gonna have sex with another man?
Could God have
So
could God have
that
a son
itself.
without sperm?
That itself is a nasty talk, bro. Because how can you say God is gonna have a son? That means that he would need the sperm from somebody else, right? And that's
Got it.
embarrassing to say about your God.
Where did Miriam in your Quran? Where did she get the sperm from to have Jesus?
Allah said be, and it came to be. That's how Mary gave
So, but
birth.
whose sperm was it?
No one's sperm,
Oh, so
because
you
we
don't.
can't say.
So Mary
So
was
are you
able to
saying it's
wait,
God's
wait, wait,
sperm
wait,
and
wait,
you
wait.
Christians?
So Mary was able to have a son without sperm.
Of course, Allah
Got it.
said be, and it
Good.
came to be.
So could Allah
Al-
have a son without sperm?
He's the greatest, though. He doesn't need the children. He doesn't need any of that.
Thanks, man. Take care.
We're all his creation.
Can't follow the basic conversation? No need for you to be up here, brother. Sorry, not sorry. I choose me. If you're not able to follow a line of thinking, if you're just in bot mode, robot mode, you will be kicked. Not dealing with you guys today. How you doing, Solomon?
I'm fine.
Good, good, good. Do you believe that Allah can have a son if he wanted to?
Let me make this clear. You are that very stupid. Don't cut me off. Let me make myself clear. The question that you are even asking shows that how stupid you are. God, you cannot even say if God want to have a son, he can. It's
Why
not
would you call
befitting.
me
That's why you
stupid?
are calling him God.
Why would you do
Almighty God.
that?
It's not befitting for a God to have a son.
Why would you call me
So the question
stupid?
that you are even asking is that stupid. So I
Why
don't
would
even
you
want to
call
waste
me
my time on this.
stupid?
What I want to make
Why?
it
Why would
clear,
you call me
the
that?
Muslims that are here,
Why would you
don't
call
waste
me
your time on this
stupid?
person. So basically, he did not understand
Why would
nothing
you
about the
call me
Quran. I was
stupid?
following him. He was trying to basically translate what the Quran said.
You call
So
me
he did not understand
stupid.
nothing about the Quran, and he tried to manipulate you guys. Don't follow this person. Don't follow his platform. Just
My
ignore this
feelings are hurt.
useless person.
I'm
So
challenging
he don't know
logic.
nothing about Islam. to be honest.
Use your
So
logic,
in Islam, no, can you shut up? Let me make this clear because
God
you don't want to
logic.
hear the truth.
How
You do
about
not want
no
to hear the truth.
logic?
So can you listen? Let me make this clear. Muslims here, don't. The reason why this
Logic.
man is
Let
bragging is
me
because
ask
you
you a
guys
logical
attend his
question,
platform.
logic.
So he did not even understand nothing about the Quran. Don't waste your time on this person. That's what I want to make it clear. Because
You got
can you
logic in your
imagine?
name, right?
Even if
Well, let's use
I can
logic
try to
then,
convince
logic.
him, I can try to convince him to show that God is the only truth. But the question is, he will never, even if I bring clear proof, he will never listen to me.
Woo. Wow. That guy was so mean. So uptight. Goodness. Loosen up a bit. Wow. So it looks like we're starting to get the weirdos on TikTok. We're starting to get the crybabies. We're starting to get the real deficient in brain ones. I mean, that's normal, but like these guys, this like the guests, the quality of guests are starting to really degrade. Really degrade. All right. Let's see who will come up who is not a robot. Let's try Hassan.
Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Are you Muslim?
I am Muslim.
Welcome
how
to
are
the
you doing?
stage, my friend. Thanks for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Good, good, good. So the question is, do you believe that Allah could have a son if he wanted to? Not that he needs a son. I'm asking if he wanted one, could he have one?
If you wanted one, you could have one.
Beautiful. I like that. I like that. Very direct. Okay, let me ask you this. So since Allah could have a son if he wanted to, could he have the son by himself, or would he need help? Would he need a partner to have a son?
As the all-powerful and self-sufficient, he'd be capable of doing it on his own.
Got it. So if he wasn't capable of doing it on his own, then that would mean that he's not self-sufficient and all-powerful, and he's not God by definition, correct?
Exactly.
All right. So how would you interpret chapter 6, verse 101, where it says,
So,
how can
Alright,
Allah have
so-
a son when he has no wife?
So essentially, you're misinterpreting this verse, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
So the verse prior is pretty much explaining to you the nature of God.
Mm.
He is telling you that you associate jinn, or the polytheists associate jinn with worship for Allah.
Mhm.
And it specifies that glorified and exalted above what they claim. The next verse isn't specifically saying that he is incapable of mating without a companion. It's saying that it's not in his nature. It's saying, and like think of Zeus for instance, right? Zeus is interpreted as having wives and impregnating his wives to have children. It is specifying to the polytheistics that it's not within Allah's nature. Allah doesn't work like that.
Got it. So it's not in his nature to have a son without a wife.
It's not in his nature to have either. It's pretty much saying, how could you assume that it could do this extreme? Or no, sorry. How are you assuming that he would do this extreme if he wouldn't even do this minor, as he is above and exalted?
It doesn't say that.
of that?
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say what he wouldn't do. It says what he can't do. It
says
says, it
how
doesn't
could
say,
he have
why would Allah have a son when he doesn't have a wife or wouldn't have a wife? It says, how could Allah have a son when he doesn't have a wife? So it's not
Yeah.
about what he would do, it's about what he can or can't do.
Well, looking at the context, that's not true, because they're specifying that it's not within Allah's nature to have a son, let alone companion. This is, by the way, I'm just telling you the common interpretation of this verse.
I know. It still doesn't work, because if you're saying that it's not in his nature, the context in which you're right, actually, I would actually agree with you that they're saying, or Allah's response to these polytheists that are saying that he has children, he's saying that's not what he does. That's not who he is. It's not what he does. In fact, how could he do this if he doesn't have a wife? This eliminates it. Okay. The understanding is that he has children. Obviously, to have children, you need a consort. So he's saying, how could he have a son when he doesn't have a consort? It's not about what he would or wouldn't do.
I understand the point you're trying to make, but the interpretation of this verse is, and considering the context as well, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to go in circles here, but considering the context, how it literally specifies in the verse right before, glorified and exalted, he is above what they claim. Above what they claim, he's saying that it's above his nature to have a wife. Like this is the
No,
general
that's not what he
interpretation.
says. He doesn't say it's above his nature to have a wife. He's talking about having a son and how it's impossible for him to have a son. What's the reason why he doesn't have a son according to the context?
So it doesn't you're looking for a contradiction that's not there.
I'm not looking for a
It doesn't.
contradiction.
He
I'm-
doesn't specifically say
Hmm.
that he is incapable of having a son. We can agree on that, right?
No, it does say that.
No, but does it say word for word, God is incapable of having a son?
Oh, it doesn't have to say it word for word, man. If that's what
I'm gonna
it
explain that.
gives.
Right? In prior verses, if Allah's one of his names is the powerful, the all powerful, why
Yes.
would we assume? But why would we assume that this verse is saying that he's physically incapable of having a son, when the latter option is more probable, considering the fact that one of his names is the all powerful? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I agree with you that it doesn't make sense for one of his attributes to be the all powerful when you have a verse and a context that's showing actually he's not. That's why I'm saying this is my argument. He's not God, because God, by definition, has the attributes of all powerfulness, omnipotence. This right here shows that he's not, because in order to have a son, he's dependent on another.
So the verse doesn't specify he's dependent.
It
says,
does. How
could he
can
have
he
children?
have? Look, how can he have? How can he? How? It's talking about ability. How can this happen? How can he do this if he doesn't have this? So the condition for him to do this is to have this. The condition for him to have a son is to have a wife.
So you're assuming that it's the condition, though. Wait, so
That's
first
what
of all,
it
can I-
says.
can I
Like for
urge you
example,
to
brother,
use,
look, if it's like this. If I say, how can I drive the car when I don't have the keys? So what's the condition for me to even drive the car in the first place?
So first of all, can I ask that you use Quran.com rather than the Quran you're using? Because I think our sister prior that was on, she was kind of right. It tends to use the harshest forms of translation.
Well, sure,
But
no worries, bro.
I'm just letting you know, like Quran.com might be more helpful to your arguments if you are trying to
It's
argue
not
against.
because, dude, Quran.com itself is not its own translation. It's using English translations. The same English translations that are on Quran.com are on QuranX.com. But if you're more comfortable with me using, let's say, Pictol on Quran.com instead of Pictol on what I'm using, fine. I have no problem with that. But I want you to answer the analogy. What is the condition of me driving the car according to my analogy? If I say, how can I drive the car when I don't have the keys? What's the condition for me to drive the car?
In your argument, it would be the keys.
Okay. So the same phraseology is used, the exact same phraseology. How can Allah have a son when he doesn't have a wife? So what's the condition for Allah to have a son here?
That he has a wife.
Beautiful.
In your interpretation, can I give you an alternate scenario now? If
Go
you
ahead.
don't mind?
That's just what it says, bro. It's not me interpreting nothing. It's just what it says.
Sure, right. Now let's say before I say what you just said, right? What
Yeah.
you just stated, I say, I am above even owning a car, right? Let's say I say that. Then
Yeah.
let's say, how could I have the keys, how could I have a car when I don't even have the keys to drive a car? Prior when I say I have no business being anywhere around a car.
Yeah. So good. It doesn't. So you being above having a car, does that mean that you can't have a car simply because you're above having one?
It doesn't mean I'm incapable of it, but it's
There
not
you
my
go.
nature to have a car.
Okay. So it's below your status to have a car, but it doesn't mean that you're incapable of having a car.
Exactly.
So right. So, but this verse, the next verse, talks about Allah's capability. So now, same scenario, like what we've been doing. I like that you're able to bounce off my analogy. I really like that. So you're above having a car, and then your next sentence is, but how can I have a car? I'm sorry. How can I drive the car when I do not have the keys? So now it's talking about your ability. Can you drive the car without the keys, according to that phrase?
No.
Right. So even though you're above having a car in the first place, but with your ability, you can't drive a car without keys. You need keys to drive a car, even though with your status, you're above having a car in the first place. Same here. Allah is above having a son in the first place. However, he's not able to have a son unless he has a wife.
I appreciate that you have a good point, right? This isn't something commonly heard, right?
Thanks.
But I think as a Christian, you would know better than anyone that context is very important,
This is
right?
context.
So, but that's what I mean. When you're reading a sutta, you need to consider the rest of the sutta. You can't just say, okay, it's not talking about this anymore. Now it's talking about this. You can't just deny that he just said he's above it in the first place. Because what you're saying is you're kind of denying when I say prior, I don't even associate myself with this. Then he's going on to specify why, or it's still correlated with the verse prior.
No, but I'm with you, bro. I don't think, I think that you, I don't know if you know that I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm literally going with you. I'm with you on the verse prior says he's above having a son in the first place. Just like in the analogy, you said that you're above having a car in the first place. You don't even associate with having a car. Allah doesn't associate with having a son. But then the next sentence is not talking about association, it's talking about ability. Wouldn't you agree that when I say, for example, if I say, just using the same analogy, I am above having a car, that's not talking about my ability to have a car, right? It's just saying that I'm above having one. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So it's not that is not about ability. Now, when I then continue the conversation and I say, but how can I drive the car when I don't have the keys? That's talking about my ability to drive the car, right?
All right, yeah. So I understand your point. We clearly disagree on the interpretation of the verse. I think that's what we can agree to address. We don't agree with the interpretation.
Well, I mean, it's like this with me, bro, because I'm not interpreting it. I'm literally just reading what it says, and unfortunately, it's you guys that have to kind of fill it out, I guess, like fill in the holes. But it's just what it is, man. I can't explain it enough. It shows that Allah has an inability to have a son without a wife, and therefore is not God.
All right, let me offer a different perspective.
Okay.
So we know that the Quran was written in Arabic, right? So you can't really argue semantics within specific words because what you're making is a good point, right? It's
Thank
not
you.
saying how could he or what was it? It's not saying why would I have children when I don't even have a mate. It's
Mhm.
saying how could he have children when he has no mate. I get
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to consider this is a translation. You can't really argue the semantics, and the most accurate conclusion we can attain is considering the context and accepting the principle of the verses.
But the word in the Arabic is anna, which means how.
Yes, but you'd still consider the principle. You're arguing over semantics essentially when the principle.
No,
clearly states
no,
how.
I'm not arguing over semantics. You are now, because you went to the linguistics of the verse. I didn't. So now you're arguing whether how or why. Do we agree that it's how and not why, objectively?
What I'm saying is that here. So how could he have children when he has no mate? He created
Mhm.
all things and has perfect knowledge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
He is the originator of the heavens and earth. How could he have children when he has no mate?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just trying to really think about this from your
Yeah,
perspective.
that's
I'm trying
good. Sure. I think you understand my perspective, and I think that it's the logical conclusion. It makes sense, but maybe try to find something else to combat it. But this is just it's really this simple, bro.
So even I'm trying really hard. I'm trying to think of it from your perspective, where I'd accept the fact that it says how over why,
Mm-hmm.
and not accept that in the verse prior he says he's the all powerful, right? So when you're arguing, right, this is the philosophical principle. I don't remember exactly what it was, but in order to make the best argument against something, you need to give it the best possible case.
Yes.
If you were arguing in a nullified version of
Mhm.
what you're trying to debate against,
Mhm.
it could be invalid, right?
I
As
agree.
that's not how primarily people interpret it. So I feel like if you're trying to build a case against Islam, it needs to be a little stronger than oh, but he's saying because I'm providing a very strong argument for my case, and you're providing an argument for your case. My argument's widely accepted.
No,
This is the
you're
people
missing
going.
it. I don't think that you have brought an argument to refute what's being said here. So let me show you that I understand exactly what you're saying and how it doesn't work. You're saying that it's not necessarily talking about God's ability, but it's talking about how God is above doing this in the first place. Like with it, by his nature, he is above and beyond, too holy, too majestic to associate himself with having a son. So that's
Not
what
too
all of this is
majestic,
talking
not too.
about. Is that correct?
Wait, let's yeah, but let's address the scenario with a less insulting manner, right? Not too majestic. It's just not within its nature. He's self-sufficient.
What do you mean insulting? What was insulting?
I mean, it's a little critical to say too majestic. Like I understand the sarcastic undertone, but let's just keep it respectful as I'm a Muslim. And if I was debating the Bible, I wouldn't.
Do you know what majestic means?
Yes, but okay. Besides that, you can continue with your point.
It's literally giving him credit for where credit is due, bro. I'm confused.
But you're saying he's too majestic to have a kid, but that's not the principle of Islam.
That is the principle of Islam. His majesty is too high for him to consider having a son. It's a compliment to who he is and what he is, bro. It's not an insult.
Okay. Yeah, just continue.
Okay. So since he's two, let's say if majestic is sorry guys, what did I do? If majestic is a point of contention here, let's say holy. All right, let's say holy or magnificent. He's too magnificent.
It's not within its nature, not within his nature.
Mm-hmm. So when you say it's not within his nature, meaning his status is above having a son, similar to you having a status where you are above driving a car, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why your understanding doesn't work is because this verse that we're talking about is not just simply dealing with Allah's status, as it does in the beginning of the verse. It mentions how he's the originator of the heavens and the earth. That's his status. That's his glory. But then it brings up his ability. How can he do this if he doesn't have this? So the verse,
yes, but
yeah.
don't you think it makes kind of like he's saying, how could I not have a child if I don't even have a woman, right? I understand your perspective now. I genuinely understand. But now I want you to try to look at it from my perspective, right? How, if it's not within his nature, right? Let's say it like this. If it's not within his nature to even have a companion, how could he have a kid? Or sorry, other way around, vice versa. How could he have a kid? No, it does say that because the verse before says, glorified and exalted, he is above what they claim.
Does it say that he's above having a wife?
Glorified and exalted, he is above what they claim. He is above.
And they're claiming that he has children, not a wife.
But as the self-sufficient, we know it's not within his nature to have a wife.
That doesn't mean that he's not self-sufficient if he has a wife.
Okay, wait, what argument are you trying to make?
You're trying to go away from the fact that the verse is addressing Allah's ability. You're trying to say, no, it's not addressing his ability. The second that a phrase or sentence begins with how can, that's literally addressing ability, bro. There's no way around that.
Okay, so what you're misinterpreting is it's not necessarily, it's literally addressing something, but it's not literally addressing ability.
Where do we go from here? Stuck in the middle of nowhere, close to home. Come on, bro.
Sorry, brother. I consider myself an unbiased person, right? And I really try to look at it from other perspectives.
Being biased here, though.
I mean, I could say the same thing about you. We're kind of going in circles, right?
I guess so. I guess we can end it here.
Or you could bring up another point, right? We could say this one's a stalemate as it's
well, it's not a stalemate. You were unable to deal with what your verse says. It's not a stalemate.
No, I'm justifying it, but you're not. I could say that you're not considering the.
How do you justify a verse talking about Allah's inability to do something? How do you justify that?
It's not. It never says inability. It says how could you have?
Oh, so
children?
wait, does it have to say the word inability to address someone's inability?
Pardon?
Does it have to say the word inability or ability to be addressing someone's ability?
Yes.
So the exact
With-
word fallacy.
Without very specific context, then yes.
But again, I asked you with the analogy of the car and the keys. You said yes, that's addressing your ability to drive the car because you can't do it without the keys. You do not have the
Unless-
ability to drive the cars without the keys. Come on,
exactly.
man. So
Exactly,
you
right?
said exactly. So
Unless
it says,
unless-
how can Allah have a son when he doesn't have a wife? So can he have a son without a wife?
That's the whole thing, though. That's the whole point. He can't because it's not because prior he literally says.
So
he's exalted.
when you say can't, what is that addressing? When you say can't, what is that? That's ability, is it not?
As in can. Sorry. So here, let's talk about this. He's the all powerful, right?
No,
What
he's
he
not.
wills-
Okay, apparently.
No, in my interpretation, he's the all powerful, right?
Not
What do you
anymore.
like? This is the argument. But this is the argument. What he wills will be. If it's not within his nature, i.e., i.e., he won't will for him to have a companion, then logically he wouldn't will for him to have a son.
Could he if he wanted to?
Yes.
Okay,
Logically
thank you.
would.
So we're not dealing with will. We're not dealing with his decree. We're dealing with ability. So we already got past that. We already said if Allah willed, could he have a son? You said yes.
Yes.
I said if Allah willed, could he have a son by himself? You said yes. Or else if he needed someone to do that, he would be insufficient and therefore not God. We already got past the will. So this right here is talking about Allah's ability. How can he have a son? Let's say if he willed it and wanted to have a son, how could he have a son if he doesn't have a wife? The
So
point is,
could-
he
definition
can't.
of- The definition of could is used to indicate possibility, right? Sorry, I'm really
Yes.
trying to decide. So, sorry, I'm pulling it back up. I have multiple tabs open.
Chapter 6, verse 101.
Yeah.
The word can or could indicates ability. That's the issue here. If he's unable to do this without a partner, then he is not self-sufficient and not God by definition, as we agreed earlier.
I understand your point, right? I really do. So let me just read this out to myself in my head. Let me try to make sense of this.
Okay. In the meantime, as he reads that, guys, make sure you guys give a like on the stream. We got 2,500 people watching, so make sure you guys, each and every one of you guys, are hitting that like button. Also, I think it's today going to be live with Alex Estrada, brother Alex. We're going to be going live with Radar Apologetics on Christ Forgiveness channel in about 40 minutes or so. All right.
All right. So after reading the verse, I still don't see how it specifically indicate because it would make sense. It would be a reasonable assumption if we didn't have context, right? But we do. We know he is glorified and exalted. We know this because it says it in the verse right before. So why would it be addressing the inability when we literally know he is able? And
But
it
you,
says he is
but you
able.
don't know. He just said he's not able unless he has a wife.
No, it says it's how could he have children when he has no mate?
So can he have
you
children
can
without a
also
mate?
Think of it as his nature.
Can he have
I'm
children without a mate?
He can, but how could he?
No,
No, look, hear me out, brother. Actually, hear me out. I'm trying to get you to understand this, right?
I'm
Brother,
sorry.
Give me a chance.
Sorry.
Give me a chance. Give me a chance, man.
I'm
Give me a
giving
chance.
you a lot of chances.
All right.
He can, but how can he?
No. He could. No. Straw man, bro. He could.
Oh
He
shoot!
can-
You guys are
He
a joy,
can
man.
as the all-powerful being, right?
How
Can
can he?
as the all-powerful being, but
Mm.
how could he when it's not in his nature?
So he can't do it then.
No, he can, but he won't. That's what it's saying. How can he
All right, bro.
if it's not within his nature? Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Unfortunately, that's not what the verse says.
But
It
that's how
doesn't.
you're
It doesn't say how
interpreting.
can he when it's not in his nature. Even if it said that, it would mean that he can't do it. He has no attribute or ability to do it. It's not in his nature to do it. He has no ability to do that. So he has an inability to have a son according to his nature.
Brother,
He
but
can't
as
do
the
it
all-powerful, why would you jump to that conclusion if there's another
because he's
conclusion?
not all powerful.
Okay, here, let me give you this. There's two possibilities, right? The first possibility is that it's directly relating to his ability. The second possibility that it's referring to his nature, right? Why would it be assuming to his ability?
When you say nature, bro, what do you mean by nature?
I mean that the Muslim belief is that it's not within God's nature to have kids. That's what
You just
differentiates us
repeated
from.
it. What do you mean by nature?
So, okay, I'll explain. Allah can do everything according to Islam. Or
Is that
according
part
to,
of his? Is that an attribute that's part of his
I'm about to
nature?
explain this. Let me finish, brother.
No,
So
we got to break this down. Is him
no,
having the
no, no, no,
ability
no.
to do anything part of his nature?
This is no, that relates to his ability. He has the ability to do everything.
I don't think you know what
However,
nature means.
it's not okay. So, okay, look, you're
Oh, hold
cutting me
on.
off.
Sorry, hold on.
No problem.
Moderators, can you mute whoever is saying crazy stuff in the chat? Like Allah is GAY and stuff like that. Mute that person. Guys, we don't do that here. Unless provoked, we don't do none of that crazy talk. We don't do that. This is not the platform for that. Please. So moderators, matter of fact, for the next person, if they say something like Allah is GAY or anything like that, block them. Don't even just mute, just block them. We don't do that here. That's whack.
Yo,
man.
I really appreciate your respect. I really appreciate that. I just want to let you know that's good of you.
Thanks. But yeah, so go ahead. So that you said I need you to define nature because it sounds like to me you don't really have an idea of what nature actually is.
Okay, so according to the Quran, right? We know that it's not within God's nature to have children. This doesn't mean he's incapable of having children, according to the Quran, right?
When you say that it's not within his nature to have children, that literally means he's incapable of having children.
No, it means he chooses not to.
No, that no. Nature is what you are. Nature is what you are. The things, the attributes and operations of your being. That's your nature,
Yes,
man.
but yeah, okay, for sure, right? But as the all-powerful, he can really choose his nature.
He can choose his nature. So Allah can choose
As an all-powerful being, can he not choose his nature?
Can
Otherwise, that would be
can Allah
contradictory.
choose to not be God?
That's a philosophical question that you can ask the Jews, the Christians, etc.
I think we gotta cut it here. But I do appreciate your participation, bro, and everything. It was cool.
I gave you I hope I gave you the Muslim perspective. I'm trying the best I can, brother.
I would say that you did the best at giving a decent response. You tried, and with your response, I feel like it was decent but inadequate. But
is there any other questions you have before I go, or like is that it?
Who's on the who's on the straight path?
The Muslims.
Okay, so no God is on the straight path.
Sorry, what? I don't understand, brother.
God is not on the straight path.
I mean, he made the straight path, right? He's not on any path.
So the persons who are on the straight path can't be God themselves.
It'd be his followers.
I got you. I agree. All right. So here's my other question. Chapter 11, verse 56. It says, surely my Lord is on the straight path.
Chapter 11. Sorry,
11 verse 56.
56. Sorry, 56. Oh, this is in the Bible?
No, it's the Quran.
Chapter 11, 56, Quran. Where is this? Oh, this is this
chapter 11, verse 56 in the Quran.
Let me open the Quran. Quran.com. Surah Hud 56.
Mm-hmm.
I put my trust in Allah, my Lord and your Lord. There is no living creature that is not completely under his control. Surely my Lord's way is perfect justice.
Oh, that's not what it says. Wait, read that out loud because I want the audience to hear what that translation
Sure.
says. That's terrible.
This is according to Quran.com.
No,
by
what
the way.
translation is it using though?
You want me to find you want me to read it or like look for the translation?
Well, you said it's according to Quran. Like I told you before,
Yeah,
Quran.com has English translations that it uses. You can pick which one.
Do you want me to,
which one is this
open
one?
the physical Quran if that's not adequate?
No, just
I'll open the-
what Joe,
I have
just
it right
what English translation is this? It should say right at the top.
I can't find it.
All right, no worries.
Um,
But go ahead and read that though, because I want everybody to hear how they butchered the Quran on purpose. Go ahead,
How
read
about
that
I
last
open
part.
Here, do you mind if I open the English translation so we have a
Yeah,
more...
after just read that last part again, please.
I have put my trust in Allah, my Lord and your Lord. There is no living creature that is not completely under his control. Surely my Lord's way is perfect justice.
Surely my Lord's way is perfect justice.
And then there's an alternate.
That is a butchering of the text beyond butchering. It's crazy what the Muslims do to their own book because they see the problems.
There's a footnote that says, I just found it. It says LIT, my Lord is on the straight path.
Yeah, so that means the literal reading is, my Lord is on the straight path. Why would they butcher the text like that?
That's a good question. I'm looking in my physical Quran right now because it'd probably be more accurate. 1156. I have put my trust in God, my Lord and your Lord. There is no living creature that is not completely under his control. Surely my Lord's way is perfect justice. This is the physical Quran.
Yeah, you're using the same translation that the Quran.com uses.
If you want, I can like turn on my camera and show you.
You don't know, brother. You don't have to show. I know how Quran.com works. I know that you're reading.
I mean like my book. I'm saying.
I get it. So it's the clear Quran. Is that what's on the cover of your Quran?
It's
the clear Quran. Yes. Oh man, yeah. That one is terrible. It gets so many things wrong. But okay.
Why is it terrible?
Because it mistranslates your what the Quran actually says in many, many, many places, including this one. Because as you saw,
do you speak Arabic, brother?
No, I just study the Arabic in certain verses that I read. So I use lexicons, I use corpuses, so I know, what the words are in the Arabic, in a lot of places. Not all, but
I mean, what translation are you using?
I'm using anyone but that one. But regardless, I use sometimes Pickthall. I'll use Halali Khan. Those are two doctors, two Muslim scholars. Halali Khan. That's the one I use the most. I use one called Arbery. But it doesn't matter because we don't appeal to the English. We appeal to the Arabic. But as you saw in the footnote that it had on Quran.com. It said literal, LIT, which means literal reading, is my Lord is on the straight path, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Allah is on the straight path, then he's not God, because God is the one who made the straight path, and the people who are on the straight path are believers and people striving to do good.
I mean,
God himself can't be on the straight path.
And he can't be on the straight path because he created the straight path?
Correct. He's the destination. The path is to get to him, is to get to God. He's supposed to be the destination. So if he's not the destination, but he's on the path just like you and others, then he's not God. He's on his way to God like you are.
Can I tell you what I'm thinking? Because I don't have any arguments like in the chamber for this verse. So I can tell you my interpretation and maybe you can refute it.
Sure.
So in the Quran, we know that Allah is closer than your jugular artery, right? So maybe that it's saying that we should be on the straight path because we will find God on the straight path. If you understand what I'm getting at.
That you should be on the straight path because you will find God on the straight path.
That's how I'm thinking about. That's how I'm thinking mentally to justify it.
Yeah, that's tough, bro. Let me ask you this: would it make more sense to say that God is the path Himself instead of that God is on the path?
That would make more sense.
I agree. That's what the Bible says. Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Jesus claims to be the path itself, not that He's on the path. So that's a claim that we would expect to see God say, which is why we also believe that Jesus is God, because He claimed it. He said He Himself is the way. He's the path. He's not on the path like Allah.
All right, so I honestly don't know the Arabic to decipher that verse, so I'm not going to argue upon it, but it's a good point. I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
I don't mind, man. You're cool. What's your question?
All right, so first of all, this is probably one you get a lot, but if Jesus is God and God is the all-knowing, how does He not know when the day of judgment is or when the horn will blow?
The hour is what you're talking about, but He does know.
The hour, yes.
Yeah, He does know. In that verse, the word is oidin, which is used to mean to declare or to make known. So He's saying it's not for any human or the angels or the Son to make known the hour, but the Father makes it known.
Do you know the verse actually? So I
Yeah,
can pull it up.
it's Mark chapter 13, verse 32. So He's saying it's not on His authority or angels or men to make known the hour. It's for the Father to make known the hour. The word used there is know, but in the Greek it's oidin, which also means to tell or to declare.
So he won't be aware of it, but He won't declare it.
Correct. He's aware of the hour, but He doesn't tell the hour until it's time to tell it, until the Father
Is there a
gives the order.
Bible that has that translation that I can refer to if it's more accurate?
No, like it uses the word know, but you just got to understand the context and the way the word is being used. Like for example, there's other verses in the Bible where the word know is used, but in a sexual context. Like it says, and then Adam knew his wife Eve, and she bore him children. It uses the word know. But you see how like it's used in a sexual context instead. It's not talking about cognitive knowledge. So with Jesus here as well, like or Paul, same word, New Testament, the word oidin, same word that Jesus uses when He says, "Nor the Son knows the hour." Paul uses the same word, and he says in 1 Corinthians, he says, talking to the Corinthians, he says, "When I came to you, I decided to know nothing except Jesus Christ and Him crucified." So obviously that doesn't mean that he literally didn't know anything. He just only came telling them about Jesus being crucified, spreading the gospel. That's all He came to declare to them. Same way, Jesus is saying that it's not for Him to tell it. It's not for Him to declare it. Here's another nugget to this as well. A few chapters before and even after, Jesus compares the last hour, like His coming, to a Jewish wedding. Now, in a Jewish wedding, it's the father that makes known the wedding day, not the groom or the bride. Now, that doesn't mean that the groom and the bride don't know their own wedding day. It's just not on them to announce it. The father of the groom announces the wedding day. So that's how Jesus compares it.
I understand.
Yeah. Good question, though,
I
man.
got one more question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, in the Bible, it says, so before Jesus, peace be upon him, was crucified, right? He says, my God, why hast thou you forsaken me?" Right?
Yeah.
It seems as though and this is something that just intrigued me, and I want to get your input on it. According to Islam interpretation, obviously we don't believe Jesus was crucified, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I read that verse, my God, why hast thou you forsaken me? In my mind, I would think it's more accurate to the Jew that he's, replaced with Jesus, because that's the Islamic belief, rather than the son asking the father why he's forsaken him, when if Jesus is God, He has the power to remove Himself from that scenario. right? So that's something that's a question I have.
Well, yeah. So really, what he's doing is he's quoting a prophecy. He's quoting Psalm 22, and the Jews are around there listening. They're hearing what he's saying, and the Psalms and the Hebrew scriptures, they were always recited amongst the Jews. They memorized this stuff. So when they heard the first line of this psalm, they would know what Jesus is quoting. Psalm 22. So if you want, we could take a look at that just really quick. You'll be amazed
Psalm
by
22?
it. Yeah. Psalm 22, man. It's really amazing. Hmm?
I got it.
All right. Go ahead and read it out loud for me, because I don't have it in front of me, but I'll listen to you.
Just the first verse?
Yeah, first verse.
My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish?
Sound familiar, right? That's what Jesus said.
Yeah.
Right now, drop down to about, I want to say, the 6th verse. What's verse 6? Like, read from verse 6 to 8. What does that say?
But I am a worm and not a man.
Mm-hmm. Keep
Worn
going.
by everyone, despised by the people.
So he's low, and he's despised and rejected by the people. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, go ahead and skip down to verse 14. Read 14 to 16.
I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax, it is melted within me. My mouth is dried up like potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet.
They did what? They pierced my hands and my feet. You see that? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
So this is what Jesus is quoting. And he's quoting a psalm 1,000 years before this event happens by prophet David that prophesies what's happening to the Messiah. So the Jews that are there at the crucifixion, the ones who handed him over to the Romans to be crucified, the ones who are mocking him while he's on the cross, saying, "You're the Son of God, come down, save yourself, you saved others," scorning him, rejecting him. All of this was already foretold. And when they hear this, when they hear him quote Psalm 22, they'll recognize it. Oh, this is happening right now. This is being fulfilled right now as we speak. We're the ones doing this to him. And maybe they will come to repentance, but they still reject it. So you see, yeah, go ahead.
So he was fulfilling a prophecy that was foretold in the past?
That's correct.
Okay, I understand.
So if that's the case, bro, now you see that's Psalm. That's not New Testament. That's not the Injil. That's not Christian writing. This is Psalm, the Hebrew, the Zabur, the Quran calls it. In the Psalms, we have the prophecy that the Messiah will be crucified, will have his hands and his feet pierced, right? So, and then the gospel comes and then confirms that. So then why would you follow someone who comes 600 years after Jesus that says, actually, no, this didn't happen, when the prophets all align and say, yes, this did happen. God said it would happen. Is God a liar?
I mean, I'm genuinely thinking about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
That's something to think about, bro. So you don't have to give it. I just want you to think about it. I want to get your gears turning. So, okay. So you're more than welcome to come back anytime, bro. We can talk. We can go. We can just talk about Christianity. We can talk about the scripture, talk about Jesus, all this stuff. You know, we don't even have to touch Islam. And I'll show you all of this stuff, bro. And how the prophets here's the one thing that Muslims have right, that all the prophets taught the same message. They preached the same message. Here's the problem with the Muslims, is that they get the message wrong. The Muslims just get the one message wrong. The message that the prophets were consistent on teaching was that God was going to come in the flesh and redeem mankind of their sins himself, because man can't do it. He was going to do it for us.
I understand your perspective. What I'm confused about is if Christianity is true, why hasn't the Bible been preserved throughout its time? Because,
according to what? According to who?
Well, there's verses from the Bible missing, for instance, and the church revokes.
There's nothing.
parts of
There's no verses in the Bible missing. If you have, because you're talking about manuscripts, if certain manuscripts do not have certain verses, but other manuscripts do have those verses that the other manuscripts lack, is there anything missing? No, right?
I mean, no.
Right. So nothing is literally missing. But certain what you'll be thinking of is that certain translations have what might be called a manuscript tradition. So like certain translations may go on like the earlier manuscripts, right? As opposed to later manuscripts that have survived better than the earlier ones. So the earlier ones, they'll be fragmentary, there'll be, pieces and stuff like that. So not survived as well as the later ones. And there'll be some verses that are in there that's some textual variants in there. And the later ones, they'll have some they'll have what was missing, or vice versa. We're not missing anything. Nothing is lost. We actually have too much.
I've got one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, I understand that there's going to be verses in other manuscripts to make up for, to account for them.
Yeah.
My other question was, what is your interpretation of Muhammad, peace be upon him, as an illiterate man, historically documented being illiterate, to come out of a cave one day with, writing?
Mm-hmm. What do I think of him?
Yeah, what's your what's the answer for that?
Okay. I think that Muhammad was ignorant of what the scriptures taught, meaning the Bible. He didn't know what the Bible taught. He heard a lot of stories from around him. He used to hang with a guy named Waraka, who was a Gnostic Christian in his area, who used to tell him stories, and he used to even write the gospel.
What was his name?
Waraka. WARQA. Waraka. WARAQA. Waraka.
Oh yeah.
And so this was before he passed away, before Muhammad's prophethood. He passed away a bit, but so he used to, and even the Jews, they used to recite the Torah around him in Arabic and stuff like that. The Hadiths talk about. So he would hear things. He didn't know what was in the scripture himself, but he would hear things. And so I believe that he, based off what he heard, he would put in Islam his own twist to it, put his own little touch on it. Familiar stories. We see a lot of familiar stories in the Quran, a lot of familiar fables, even like Jesus creating a bird from clay. Like that's a fable in the infancy gospels. I forget which one, if it's Thomas or whatever, but it's we see this stuff. We see these stories that existed before him that he puts into the Quran as if it's Allah's revelation. And then, so not only that, you have obviously his experience in the cave. I do believe that he actually did experience something in the cave, but it was not an angel of God. No way. Because when we look at the angels of God and how they appear to people, they come in peace. Now, a person may be startled at first, but the angel will say peace, and let them know who they are. I'm Gabriel, or whoop-de-whoop, I've come with a message from your Lord. And the peace and tranquility will come over them. However, with Muhammad's example in the cave, number one, it doesn't say that an angel came to him or addressed him, or the entity doesn't make itself known. It just comes on Muhammad and then presses on him to where he can't take it anymore. It's hard for him to breathe, and is trying to force him to read something that he can't do. He's illiterate. Telling him, read. And he's saying, I can't read. And then it presses him some more and presses him again. And I think it does this 3 times. And after this happened, Muhammad came out of the cave suicidal. He came out of the cave thinking that he was demon possessed, thinking that he was crazy. There's never been an example of this in the Bible where an angel appears to someone and they think that they're demon possessed. They think that they've been tormented and are suicidal now. Never happens. That's what we see when we see demonic possession, though. That's what we see when.
So you think it was a demon?
Absolutely, 100%. It matches. It matches what demons do.
But you don't think it was Satan, right?
Not necessarily. It could have been,
All
but
right.
not necessarily Satan. But it could have been.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bring that. I was taking notes of your examples, right? You're clearly very educated upon religion, and I respect that
Thank
because
you.
I know a lot of people who try to argue and aren't necessarily educated.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna bring these questions to. I'm gonna bring them to. I'm gonna go to the church and ask, and I'm gonna go to the mosque and ask, and I'm gonna try to get different interpretations. And when I'm updated and I have any questions or I want your input on anything, I'll just join you live again.
Definitely, man. Well, God bless you on your journey, bro.
Yeah, you too, brother.
All right.
I really appreciate you. I appreciate you, man.
Same. I love conversations like this, man. That's why you last longer than the others.
Me too. All right.
All right. Take care, bro.
Have a good one, bro.